In this video, I'm going to be showing off the differences between Sonic 3 Knuckles and Sonic 3 alone. But before that, this is Metal Sonic and Sonic 3. Metal Sonic and Sonic 3 Knuckles is a ROM hack that I like playing quite a bit. Mainly because of the special ability that Metal Sonic has. Like most Metal Sonic ROM hacks have him just be a clone of Sonic, which is boring. But here, he can actually do a double jump. He can air dash in any direction, like he's Hypersonic, which is pretty awesome. Unfortunately, he can't do the insta-shield, but the double jump is still incredibly useful against bosses. So it does a good job of making up for it. And just that if you instinctively try to do the insta-shield, then you're gonna end up air dashing, which can kill you. His death animation is pretty funny. I think he looks really bad in his supersonic form, though. I don't think golden suits him very well. Especially with his black and red eyes. Doesn't suit him well. But yeah, I beat the entire game as Metal Sonic. Just for the hell of it. Even got all super emeralds and everything. That really goes to show you how much I love this game. I beat it so many times. In such a short amount of time. I didn't even have to. He has the exact same ending. Did he just do his idle animation from a faraway distance? Kinda makes you wonder, well, I know that it's just a ROM hack, but it kinda makes me wonder what exactly is the plot of these ROM hacks. Like, why is Tails helping Metal Sonic in the first place? Is it an alternate universe? Something really cool about Sonic 3 Complete, among many other things, is that it has Genesis versions of the PC music in it. Like, they were converted by something called Valley Bell. I think that's the name for it. And so, again, there's no original official version of the MIDI music used in the PC version. So I can accept them using a slightly different version of the themes. All that matters is that it has the same melody, which means that I can show off the PC version of the PC versions of the original songs in the game. Because again, there are songs that are original to the PC soundtrack. And I'll be able to show them off thanks to Sonic 3 Complete. I feel like the Sonic 3 Complete version is the closest we really have to an official version of those songs. I also like to point out that Metal Sonic can't drown. Like, even when he's not as Hypersonic, he can't drown. Metal Sonic and Sonic 3 Knuckles is easily the best Metal Sonic ROM hack there is, from the sheer fact that there's just so many things that make him different than Sonic, and yet still fun to play. Generations has a Metal Sonic ROM hack, but the major problem with it is that Metal Sonic is extremely slippery in that game. Like, for some reason they make him as slippery as he was in Adventure 2's multiplayer. The reason that I don't like playing as him in Sonic Adventure 2's multiplayer is because he's so slippery. He constantly slips and slides everywhere, going forwards a lot further than I wanted to. I don't see how that's fun. I definitely consider the Sonic 3 ROM hack to be the best one, just because of that. So this is Sonic and Knuckles alone. This was my first ever experience as a kid with Mushroom Hill Zone. And I loved it. I don't think I ever bothered with trying to so much as beat Flying Battery Zone, though. I always stopped there. So, I have plenty of problems with Knuckles when it comes to how he's played. The biggest one I have is that when he glides, for some reason he insists on crouching after he lands. I don't know why he does this. It's so stupid. Like, when I first played as him, when I first played as him, I was a kid. I don't remember my experience with that. But when I played as him for this thing for the first time in Sonic 3 Complete, and he was constantly crouching after he stopped gliding, I thought that it was an issue with my controller. I thought that my controller was incorrectly thinking that I was pressing down when I wasn't. And that's a huge sign of just how bad a design decision that was. I don't know why he always stops and crouches on the ground after he lands from a glide. He never did that in the adventure games. And I can understand why, because that's the bad decision. I mean, it just makes him even slower of a character. He's not as fast as Sonic, but he's still fast. Which is really good, because a Sonic character in a fast-paced platformer should be fast. Like Tails, he can't do the double jump or the bounce or the homing attack. So the elemental shields aren't as useful to him. And like I mentioned before, he just breaks through rocks with his face. Like, he just walks into them and they break. I would have preferred it if he just spin dashed through them, but I don't think his spin dash would be stronger than Sonic's because he doesn't move as fast as Sonic, so he doesn't have the same amount of force. Knuckles has different boss fights than Sonic does. And part of the reason they're harder is because Knuckles' boss fights are harder is because his jump sucks. And the other reason is that he has different boss fights. And I'll be showing those off in another extra video. So basically, I don't really find Knuckles all that fun to play. I mean, his glide can be pretty useful against bosses, but he glides too slowly, and he climbs so slowly. Like, his super form makes him climb faster, but all that does is make me wish that that was his default speed. And again, look, he's constantly crouching. I don't know why he does that. That's so stupid. Why can't I just start running right away as soon as I land? Against boss fights, his glide is about as useful as hypersonic air dashing to the right or left of him. I haven't mentioned it before, but I kind of like how you can bounce off the top of the mushrooms. Although, when you start out the level, it's easy to bounce off the top of them when you don't want to. And that can make getting to the special ring take even longer. But yeah, I never liked playing as Knuckles. Not only because he's slower than Sonic and he constantly crouches when he lands from a glide, but also because his alternate routes are harder. And by harder, I mean cheaper. There's, like, the alternate route of him for Angel Island Act 2, it's full of spikes. Like, that's their definition of making it more challenging. And I guess the only way they can really make a classic Sonic game more challenging is to have it have more platforming. So it wouldn't be as fun. Like, it would be like the entire game of Sonic and Knuckles. So, I just showed off the two most important differences to me of Sonic 3 alone. First of all, it has that horrible spring in Hydrocity Zone Act 2 that you're pretty much guaranteed to run into no matter what, even if you try to be slow and careful about it. It always sends you back. And the other difference is this. The mini-boss theme. I love the theme of the mini-bosses in Sonic 3. And I think the reason they took them out in Sonic 3 Knuckles is because they were helped compose by Michael Jackson. Actually, it wasn't Michael Jackson himself who helped compose the songs. Like, the people who composed the soundtrack of Sonic 3 weren't Michael Jackson at all. They were all just regular staff. And it wasn't even Michael Jackson himself who was on the set. It was someone associated with him. But the point remains that Michael Jackson helped compose some of the songs in Sonic 3, and as a result they were changed for Sonic 3 Knuckles, which is a shame. Why do you have to sit through this cutscene every time you replay this level? This is so boring! Like, really? Why can't you skip this? And again, there's no checkpoint after you beat the second boss here. And no rings either. So, if you die to the final boss of Sonic 3, then you have to go through this entire cutscene all over again. I mean, really? How is that good design? I mean, I'm really good at beating these bosses. But, still. If you lose all of your rings, then you pretty much have no shot of beating the final boss of Sonic 3, unless you're really good at it. And if you're trying it out for the first time, you're better off having more than one ring. I love how the sky gets all dark. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but it's perfect for creating the atmosphere. I don't entirely mind the fact that it was removed from Sonic 3 Knuckles, but at the same time, there's no real reason for it. I mean, this boss is a lot easier as Sonic, because he can use the Insta-Shield to make attacking the boss a lot easier. Here's what happens when you get grabbed by him. It's pretty easy for you to lose a ring and not be able to get it back when that happens, because you bounce off the floor when you're in the stun animation. But this boss is pretty easy when you know exactly what to do and what his pattern is. You just stay on the edges of the screen, and then you just insta-shield into him when he comes down. And if you're jumping when he comes into the screen, then he'll be at a higher height. So you can use that to manipulate how high up he'll be, which is good because if he's low when he comes onto the screen, you're a lot more likely to get hit when you're trying to jump into him. In Knuckles' story, he has to fight this boss. Even if it's Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Knuckles is forced to fight this boss. And this boss is a lot harder when you don't have the Insta-Shield. And the weird thing is that when Knuckles fights this boss, it's bright day. They don't bother trying to set the mood with a dark sky. I kind of like this boss now, because I know exactly what to do. But I died so many times to it when I first played the game. I just think it takes too long now. It's a wait around boss where you have to wait for your chance to attack. But you always know where he's going to show up when he leaves the screen. Like if he shows up from the left side and he goes to the right, then you know that he's going to emerge from the right side the next time you try to attack him. And speaking of Knuckles' story, Knuckles usually fights Egg Robo. I don't know why Eggman decided to send a robot version of him to attack Knuckles instead, but I guess he was too busy or something. But the weird thing is that when you're fighting the boss of Flying Battery Zone Act 2 as Knuckles, Eggman shows up because they were too lazy to make a new sprite for the Egg Robo for that boss fight. Sonic 3 Complete changes that, so that really is the Egg Robo fighting Knuckles. Yeah, this is the Sonic 3 Alone credits thing. Pretty underwhelming, isn't it? Yeah, I never really liked this one. I mean, it doesn't have enough passion to it. That's the problem. I mean, I usually prefer an original credits theme, but I can understand why they went with a medley instead. And the weird thing is that as I said before, Knuckles usually fights the Egg Robo for some reason. But not only does Eggman fight him in Flying Battery Zone, but occasionally, due to a glitch, Eggman will fight Knuckles instead of the Egg Robo in Mushroom Hill Zone in Sandopolis. I've never had that happen to me, but that sounds pretty weird. I don't know how that glitch would happen. And ironically, if you get into Sonic's route in either Carnival Night Zone or Marble Garden Zone, he'll still fight the Egg Robo at the end. I'm not really sure how it's possible, but whatever. See you in the next part.